So we're just going to start to make sure that you have a comfortable chair. So I'll just show my chair for a moment here. So it's a very steady chair. It has a nice flat, sturdy seat to it. And, doesn't have anything that would make it slide or move around when I'm doing activity in it. And so please make sure that you're using a chair, that's similar. So nice and steady, a flat seat that you have space to navigate on some of the movements. Generally, if you see, generally I'm kind of in the middle of the chair here. So I'm not all the way to the back, right? Definitely not all the way to the back. And I'm not perched right on the front either. I'm in the middle, okay? And so that's the kind of position that you want to be in. I'll turn the chair around a little bit throughout the flow today so that you can see different angles of my body to see what I'm doing. But my feet are hip distance apart. I'm just going to go through these things first because they're very important. So my feet are hip distance apart. And again, remember, hip distance is from those sitting bones that you can feel into the chair. So it's probably narrower than you think. Right, that's a very common thing that people will bring their feet wider than hip distance. And so then your knees will be in line with your second toes, okay? Very important to have that alignment so your knees are not going inward or outward. They're just staying right in line with your second toe. You're feeling big toe side, baby toe side, and heel all on the floor. So you can imagine as if you were standing in sand that you would see those 3 points, that big toe side, baby toe side, and heel. And then your pelvis is straight up and down. Again, you can see if you can feel those sitting bones anchoring into the chair. And your spine is tall. So let's warm up. We're going to inhale, bring our shoulders up towards our ears. And exhale, relax them down. And just let the energy go all the way off your fingertips. Inhale, shoulders up to ears. Exhale, relax down. Let's do 2 more. And remember that your movements, you want them to feel nourishing, comfortable, and appropriate for you. Exhale, relax down. Let's do 1 more of those for now. Inhale up. And exhale, relax down. Beautiful. I really like to do this one next. So we'll do some nice wrist circles here. And then some elbow circles. And some shoulder circles to the back, keeping the collarbone nice and wide. And then keeping collarbone wide, so I'll turn to the side to show you what I mean here. And then we'll start to roll the shoulders forward, but you're keeping the collarbone wide. Okay, really important. And then we're going to have our elbows coming this way. And our wrists. Good. And so let's stretch out all your fingers as much as you comfortably can. And then relax your hands. Stretch out your fingers. And relax. And 1 more, stretch out your fingers. And relax. Beautiful. All right, we're just going to do a little bit of breathing here like we did in the standing flow the other day. So you'll see there will be some similarities and some differences, right? So we're going to bring 1 hand onto our heart and 1 hand onto our belly. And so this is a really nice way to just check with yourself how your breath is occurring at the moment. So often if we're rushing around or if we're anxious about something, our breath will be up in our chest. And we never want to make ourselves wrong for any of these things. They're just human things that happen. And so, but the invitation is to gently invite your breath into your belly hand more. So we know our breath's in our lungs, but see if you can invite your breath into your belly hand more. So as you inhale, your abdomen just gently expands away from your spine. We never want to force or push, just gently feel that expansion. And then as we breathe out, just feeling your belly relax. So let's do this on your own timing. Okay, and also I'll invite you to make a sound or a humming kind of, whatever feels right for you on the breath out. That helps to tone the vagus nerve. Also, you can also make the breath out slightly longer than the breath in. Both of those things are very effective. You can use both even. So inhale, and then as you exhale, On your own timing, inhale. Exhale. Let's do 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. And last one for now. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. So now bringing both hands onto your belly. So this is the center of your kinesphere, your own personal bubble. And as I said the other day, we're not talking about bubble as in we talk about in COVID times. We're talking about all the places that you can reach in your own personal kinesphere, right? So when you're in a chair, it would look something like this, to the front, to the back. Okay, this whole flow today is going to be in a chair. So we're just going to think of gently pulling our belly buttons in towards our spines, gently in and up, but not so much that you feel it pulling on your back. So in my Pilates teacher trainings, you know, what I was taught was 30% of what you could do, right? And to breathe, we breathe more into the side and back through the ribs. So that takes a bit of practice. Main thing, make sure you're not holding your breath, okay? So if you have to pick one thing to focus on, just make sure you're breathing. That's very important, so you're not holding your breath at all. So belly button in and up gently, okay? And so this is the center of your kinesphere. So I'd like you to think of reaching from the center of your kinesphere to the edges of your kinesphere and the edges to the center. Okay, so in your own, doesn't have to look like what I'm doing. You could do just the legs, but do think of that belly button in. I often talk about it like we're constellations, and so you have that star point in your belly button, and then you have, say, star points on your knees and feet and shoulders. You can have them in your hips, elbows, hands, head, tail. But the main star point is in your belly button. So if you think about it that way. And so you're reaching from the edge of your kinesphere to the center. So center to edge, edge to center. In any angle or way that feels right for you. And so remember, we talked about this as a personal bubble, so that means it's in all directions. So you can reach to the front. Sometimes it's helpful to keep the other hand on your belly button just to remember to keep that centered feeling. And you can reach to the back if that's comfortable for you. Just make sure that you're respecting your body, right? If you're someone who is that twisting isn't a good idea, then just don't twist. Keep your star points facing me, right? But you can, if it's comfortable for your shoulder, reach your arm back, can reach down. Again, if bending forward is suitable for you, first of all, make sure that you are firmly anchored on your chair. So if I'm going to bend forward, I usually move my hips back a tiny bit just to be extra safe. And then you can bend forward and reach all those points to the front, right? Good. So just taking another moment or two with this bubble dance, and you can put on music for this. And it doesn't have to be just, you know, plain reaching and touching. That, like, this is what I mean, touching the edges of your kinesphere. You can actually have it be more dancey. So you may or may not know that I belly danced for about 10 years. And so you can have, you know, different kinds of movements. And you can also work with the elements to help to inform that. So today, in the place where I am is a little bit windy and a little bit overcast. And so I would maybe use the elements of earth, right, instead of air. So we're balancing, think about it this way. So I would focus on earth for me where I am. So I could do these bubble dance movements, right, and really focus on earth, earth. Feeling my feet, feeling my sitting bones anchoring into the chair, feeling that connection. Okay, what is it for you? Another one that I could focus on here is fire, because again, it's a kind of a damp, windy day. So I could do arm movements in my reaching that are more like fire, right? Or my legs could be quick, doesn't have to be slow as long as it's comfortable for you. So these are ways that you can work with simple bubble dance warm-up in a chair or standing or in whatever position you're in. and have it also be balancing in terms of the elements in Ayurveda, right? So when I teach chair yoga, I talk about these things quite a bit. It really helps with recombobulating, right? So again, based on the environment where I am right now, where it's windy and kind of cold and damp, I balance that with earth and with fire. Okay. Taking a few breaths here, bringing the feet back to hip distance apart. We're going to do roots and wings again. So the chair version of roots and wings, I usually have people lift up to their tiptoes and then come down to flat. So I'm going to turn to the side to show that. And let's keep feet hip distance apart for now, just because we're just warming up. So up to tiptoes and then slowly lower down. And you want to be facing forward, right? Very important. So I'm turning my neck, but when you're doing your exercises, I encourage you to not turn your neck to watch me, just look forward. Position somehow. I'm going to leave this video up for a while so you can, get well set up and do it. So when you lift up to your tiptoes is when your arms come up, and when you bring your feet to flat is when they come down. Now, if that arm movement is big for you, you can just start with a small little wing flap like this. And what I showed the other day in the standing version of this is that when we bring our arms to the sides, right, it's a 30-degree angle to the side. It's not all the way to the side, unless I say otherwise. So the sort of default position when you're working with me is the 30-degree angle to the front. So here we go. We're going to inhale, come up to tiptoes and do this little wing flap. Exhale everything to flat and really just place your hands here. It's very grounding. Inhale up, exhale down. Okay, I'll turn to the side and show you. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Let's go for two more. Inhale up, exhale down. You see my spine is staying straight up and down. Inhale up, exhale down. Good. Now we're going to do a few different versions of this, and I am going to show it on the side because I think that'll be the easiest for you to see. So the version that I just was doing a moment ago that brings in more of the earth element, so if earth feels soothing and nourishing for you today, you can think of scooping down, if this bending forward is suitable for you, and then up and around. Okay? So I have to move away from the wall a bit so that I don't bump into it. So I'm hip distance apart. Before I start anything, I feel big toe side, baby toe side, and heel all on the floor. I'm gently pulling my belly button in. I'm feeling my sitting bones anchoring into the chair. And bending forward is suitable for me. So, and also remember I said that when I do this, I move my hips back a bit just to be extra careful. And so if bending forward is suitable for you, you can give this a try. So scooping down and up and around. So really feeling that feeling of earth, that groundedness in the earth. Scooping down and up and around. Let's do two more like that. Scooping down and up and around. And last one, scooping down and up and around. Now, if that was not, if bending forward is not comfortable for you or if not appropriate for you, perhaps, if you have osteoporosis or something like that, you would not want to do that movement. So you can also just do versions where you're just making the movement bigger that we did earlier, right? You can make it bigger. So I'm still doing the feet. I wasn't doing the feet when I just was on the swooping on the floor one, but you could just make the movement bigger that we did. All right, let's take a breath or two here. And so we're going to bring an arm up to the side, and my palm is up, and you're just going to bring it to the opposite thigh. And you notice I bent my elbow a little bit, right? So that's okay. So I'm not twisting here, but I'm feeling this diagonal across the body. So it's shoulder to opposite hip. Okay, and then open and down. And then let's scoop the other hand, palm up, and just listen to your body. Go slowly. You see I slow down and make sure it feels comfortable. I bend my elbow as much as I need to. And then that one is there. So bringing it up and in again. We're going to do a version of release and realign, okay? And so I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see what I'm doing here. So again, make sure that this is going to feel comfortable for you. I'm going to demonstrate it first. So we're scooping the arms up the front, and then I'm bringing them to my lower back. I'm placing them like so. And then I'm thinking of just gently lifting my heart to the sky. And down. Scooping up, around, hands to lower back, gently lifting heart to sky. So it's not a back bend or anything like that. You're just looking up to the sky. Okay, so that's a really nice cue. So I encourage you to use that here. So swooshing and then bringing your hands to your lower back. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your sitting bones anchoring into the chair. And then just gently looking up to the sky. Let's do 2 more like that. Swish up and around. You can see how it relates to roots and wings as well. And then up. And 1 more. Swish up and around. And then up. Good. All right. I'm going to turn to face the front again. And let's just take a few breaths here. All right. I want to do balancing remedy with you next. So it's a little bit different than the sequence that I did standing, but it feels like the next thing to do. So a big part of recombobulation is noticing where you're feeling the energy in your body and what's the next movement, right? What's the next movement? And again, that's something I learned in dance training. So actually I should have stayed facing to the side here. So we're basically going to be, again, in the middle of the chair. And now what you're going to do is you're just going to do, it's like a seated cat-cow. So again, make sure that this kind of movement would be appropriate for you. So you're scooping in this way, and then you're lifting up this way. So it's on think of a long diagonal, and then up. So there's no compression. And you see, again, I'm not arching my back, I'm lifting my heart up. Okay? So if you see my back, here is a bit of a scoop, right, this way. And then this way, I'm just lifting my heart up. I'm not pushing into my lower back or anything like that. Okay, so you want to be really gentle with yourself. So scoop and up. Scoop. Now let your tongue just rest on the roof of your mouth. And let there be space between your upper and lower teeth. And now what I really like you to focus, once you've got this movement, okay, so really it's a long diagonal. I don't know if you can really see that. It's a very long diagonal, right? So the energy is going that way. Energy's on this diagonal. You can see that really clearly in my body. Take a good look at that. So the energy is going on this diagonal, scooping back and then lifting up. Okay, so that's the trajectory of movement here. And then I'd also like you to just notice that feeling of rocking back from the back of the sitting bones, and then through being on the sitting bones to just a little bit front of them. Okay, so now see if you can integrate that all together. Try not to use the shoulders or any extra effort with this. See if you can just feel that long trajectory of movement that I was just showing you, this one here. Right? That's the trajectory of the movement. And then feel that rocking across the sitting bones. Okay? All right. And then coming through center. Good. Okay, before we do the next ones, I'd like to do a little neck stretch here. So we're just going to bring our arms to fingers pointing forward, and then open and down We're at hip distance apart here. We're going to bring ear towards shoulder. Nice and gentle. And then coming through center. And then over the other shoulder. And just notice where you feel it, right? I feel it sort of down in here. Just notice. Right? And then in through center and up. Okay, now the next one we're going to do is nose towards underarm. And just notice if you're clenching your arms against your side. See if you can release them if you are. And then come up through center. And then nose to other underarm. And then up through center. Okay, there's one more here. We're going to look over our shoulder. Now keep those other points just anchored down nicely as is comfortable for you. Remember, you're always the one in control of that. And then come through center. And then over the other shoulder. And come through center. Now let's add in a little hip stretch here. So if this is comfortable for you, I offer this to you. But if it doesn't feel good, just skip it. So first of all, just notice your supporting leg is going to stay steady, right? Big toe side, baby toe side, and heel. Bring the other leg across, and now make sure that that bottom knee didn't, what my son and I call it, wheat womp. But make sure it didn't wheat womp in or out, right? Just stays where it is. And also make sure that you're not putting pressure on your ankle joint. So I'm past my ankle joint here. So I'm not putting pressure on my ankle joint. And it feels comfortable in my knee. So if this does not feel comfortable in your knee, please just skip this. We won't spend long in it. Now, if you are comfortable and you want to make this a little more intense, you're going to reach tall through the top of your head and hinge forward from your hips. Right? So we're staying tall through the spine. Very, very important, folks. Let your tongue just rest on the roof of your mouth. I just have my hand resting here. I'm not pushing on it or anything. Okay, so we want to be gentle with our joints, right? And then to come out of it, you come up first and then switch legs. I pull my belly button in gently anytime I'm lifting one foot off the floor. And so you're just going to reach up tall, and if it's comfortable for you to hinge forward, go for it. So again, make sure there's no pressure directly on the ankle joint. Make sure that your knee feels comfortable, and let your tongue rest on the roof of your mouth to avoid any kind of jaw clenching. Okay? Now, if that doesn't feel good for you, I'd like to show an alternative, and it might be appropriate for you. So the alternative would be, let me just move the chair around so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. So belly button in, right? And you can just gently just bring one knee in towards your chest. Or you could do lying down when you're in bed, just bring one knee into your chest, right? That's a really nice way. It's not the same as the stretch we just did, but it's loosely related. So it's nice to just know what to do, okay? So this is another option that you could choose. All right, we have a few more to do. We've got a few minutes left to this flow here. And like I said, I'm going to leave this up in the group for about a month. I get a lot of requests for chair flows, and I do teach chair yoga regularly. So it's an honor and a pleasure to share this chair flow with you. So we're going to do diagonals rotational now, and we're going to do two versions of it, okay? So the one version is if twisting is appropriate for you, I'll give an option for that. So we've got our sitting bones anchoring into the chair. So generally twisting is not appropriate for people who have disc issues, is not appropriate for people with osteoporosis, and there are other things too, but those are the two main ones, that I see the most with people. And so if you have osteoporosis or disc issues, please don't twist. All right, we're going to do palm up, feet on the floor. We're going to stay hip distance apart for this today. You could do it together or even shoulder width apart. We'll do shoulder width in a moment. And you're going to have palm up, and you're just going to go across, and keep your opposite sitting bone anchoring down. So I am a little twisted here. Let's see here. You see I am a little bit twisted in my spine, right? So if that's appropriate for you, please give that a try. Okay. And then come in. And when you come in, what I'd like you to do is lead with the elbow so that it doesn't get smushy in the shoulder. And then release, okay? And then you're going to have palm up. Keep that opposite sitting bone anchoring down. I just have my other hand resting here. And you can feel it's quite a twist. So make sure it feels good for you. And then you can come back into center. Now we're going to practice that in a wider position. So we're going to go shoulder width apart. So make sure that your knees are in line with your second toes, belly button in. So this is a twist, remember. So scooping, and you're just going to twist, okay? Nice and long. Remember, we're on a high diagonal. Take another breath or two there. And then remember, you're going to pull back with the elbow to come out of it. That lets there be lots of space in the shoulder. And then palm up, other way. Keep that sitting bone, opposite sitting bone anchoring down. You're up on a high diagonal. My belly button is gently into my spine. Keeping knees aligned with second toes. And then to come out of it, we gently pull elbow back. And then let's just bring our feet back into that nice parallel position, hip distance apart. And we'll take a resting breath here before we do the next version of diagonals rotational. And so you might be more familiar with this next one because I've shown it here before. But I really like the one I just showed. And there's ways that you can modify it more. So let me just show modification. So I came back to that wide position and you would come out and you could even extend that opposite leg. And I'm going to tilt to the side so you can see what I'm doing with the leg. So it's comfortable, right? I don't feel like I'm teetering or balancing. My knee is still kind of bent. And it actually feels really lovely. And then to come out of it, elbow comes back, leg comes in. Okay, I'll show that on the other side. So I just scoop that way. Sorry, I started in a wider position. Scoop that way, leg goes out. And I'm just using my other hand to rest here. I'll sort of pivot so you can see. So you see again, this is bent. My foot's on the floor. I'm very stable. And it feels really lovely. Okay, so that's diagonals rotational. That's how you can progress that one that I just showed you. And now we're going to do another diagonals rotational. So hands on belly button to start. And just like we did in our warm-up, we're really thinking of the center to the edge of our kinesphere and the edge to the center. So we're going to have our arm go out on an arc. And we're leading with the back of our shoulder, okay, our posterior deltoid. So like that, clearing the way for yourself. Okay? And so the muscles in the back of the shoulder here are what we're going to use. And the feet are just doing this. So I just showed a version of that a moment ago, that leg movement. So you're just doing a tap to the side and in, tap to the side and in, tap to the side and in, tap to the side and in. Okay? So that's the movement. So you're going to go tap to the side and in. Tap to the side and in. Remember, you're leading with the back of the shoulder. The biggest thing that I see people need to work on with this one is that they'll try to lead with the elbow, and that's not what we're looking for in this one. On the way in, it's fine if you bend the elbow first, but on the way out, you really want to lead with the back of the shoulder. Right? So keeping belly button in. Let's go for 4 more. 4, 3, 2, good, and 1 more. 1. Nice. All right. Keeping belly button in and up here for a moment. And then just bring your hands just above that to your solar plexus. That's your center of personal will, your willpower. And so the color with that is a bright, beautiful, bright yellow, and the element is fire. And that fire is always there, whether we feel it or know it or not. It's always, always there. So it's a nice thing to remember if you're ever having a day where you're feeling a little low energy or down. Just think of fanning your inner flames to just the right level for you for that day. So we're just about to finish up our practice for today. See if there's anything else that I wanted to include. Yeah, let's do one more here. So this is one that I teach in chair yoga almost every time, and I just love it. So we're going to bring our hands onto our hearts, okay, and just have your feet hip distance apart. Just see if you can relax everything as much as possible. And so I'd like you to take a moment and just touch base with your heart's intentions, right? So for me, it's, you know, to be a good person and to make people's lives better. That's my heart's intentions. And so it could be something macro like that, or it could be something micro, you know, for the day or whatever it is, you know, whatever it is for you. So what are your heart's intentions in this moment? And just take a moment to touch in with that. And so now our hearts are connected to our hands, and our heart chakra is connected to our arms, right? So we're just going to take that moment and just really energize that heart's intentions through our hands and our arms. And then we're going to reach out through our hands, reach, 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 reach. And then we're going to bring our hands behind our ears. And I'm going to turn sideways just to show this part so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm staying straight up and down here. And now I am going to gently pull my belly button in. And I'm just going to gently think of, again, lifting my heart to the sky. Very small. See, it's a tiny little movement here. And then I just let my arms float down with ease. Okay? So here we go. Bringing hands to heart center. Check the feet. Make sure that everything's lined up optimally. Because that makes a difference for when we're standing too, right? Getting those neural pathways nice and strong. And so what are your heart's intentions? And then feeling those go out through your hands, out into the world, reaching, 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 reaching. And then bring your hands behind your ears and your heart to the sky. And down. Let's do one more of these for today. Bringing your hands over your heart, tuning to your heart's intentions. Then bringing those out through your hands and arms out into the world. Reach, 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 stretch through your fingertips. Bring your hands behind your ears. Gently lift your heart to the sky. And lower down. So, bringing your hands into your heart center. And thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.